The Judiciary Committee considers the issue of Supreme Court ethics reform. Last month, we learned about a justice who for years has accepted lavish trips and real estate purchases worth hundreds of thousands of dollars from a billionaire with interest before the court. That justice failed to disclose these gifts and has faced no apparent consequences under the court's ethics principles. The court should have a code of conduct with clear and enforceable rules so both justices and the American people know when conduct crosses the line.
And here's what I worry about the most. This is not about trying to upgrade the ability of the court to be more transparent. It's about an effort to destroy the legitimacy of this conservative court.
The Supreme Court is playing out of bounds of the ethics rules for federal judges. Justices read the ethics rules in unique and eccentric ways, and when they're caught out of bounds, they refuse to allow any investigation of the facts.
Competing narratives here. We have 5 witnesses.
That Democrats aren't winning every fight, and they find that reality intolerable. I've been disappointed by Supreme Court opinions too. But my Democratic colleagues should fill out a hurt feelings report and move on for the sake of the Constitution.
Mr. Chairman, thanks to the witnesses before us, the framers of the Constitution.
It's basic to the structure of our government that the executive, legislative, and judicial branches remain separate. It is the Supreme Court and not the Congress that has the constitutional prerogative to decide whether to adopt a formal code of conduct governing the individual justices.
So whenever we have a constitutional question, we look to 3 sources typically: the text of the Constitution, its structure, and long-standing historical practice. And all 3 confirm that Congress has the constitutional authority to enact legislation regulating judicial ethics.
Mr. Booker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only way that any current ethics rules or future ethics rules will work is if there's a way to enforce these rules and a way for the Supreme Court justices to understand how they apply. So therefore, you need an internal body that can provide the ethics expert advice and also gather facts in the circumstances where there are potential violations that need to be resolved.
Well, if that's the standard, going and traveling and being paid for by others, then guess what? Just about every Supreme Court justice has done so, and done so in much greater numbers. Justice Thomas was appointed in 1991. In the time since then, he's taken 109 reported trips, 5 international trips. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was appointed in 1993, 2 years later. In the time she was on the court, she took 157 trips, including 28 international trips. Mr. Payne, yes or no, do you think Ruth Bader Ginsburg was corrupt?
No.
Nor do I. I would point out Justice Kagan.
You know, we have different points of view. But what is the problem with the Supreme Court justice saying, let's have a code of conduct that applies to all of us?
I think the problem, at least the potential problem, would be the one that Judge Mukasey identified, which is to say, what is the enforcement mechanism? Is there going to be some superior tribunal to the Supreme Court that is going to disqualify the justices?
The average Vermonter.
7 Democrat senators signed, dated March 31st, 20.
Oh, darn.